All right, we are recording. So welcome to another interview on the podcast that yet has to be named. This is one of my first interviews with someone so special to me. I get goosebumps as I say that. Courtney and I have known each other for almost 20 years, almost 2 decades. That is just incredible, and it brings up so much like emotion for me because so one is really lucky to have friends for that long. And with Courtney and I, even though we haven't like been living in the same area ever, I don't think actually, or in contact every year for those 20 years, whenever we come back into meeting and our paths cross again, something lights up. Like, it's like we've gone and done our work, which is why she's on this podcast. We've gone and done our spiritual work. We continue on our paths of evolution and transformation. And then we come back together at these magical meetings. And that's what happened a few days ago. So it was like Sunday morning, and I turned on social media, and I saw Courtney had just posted a new podcast episode, which I had no idea she was doing a podcast. And I listened to it, and I just melted into this like total serene state, and it was a beautiful visualization. And I'm so excited to get into this conversation with you, Courtney, because you are working with visualization, and I know that's how spirit communicates with me too, but I haven't really learned to process that in a way. And certainly when I listened to your meditation, I was like, wow, you're super tapped in, because it hit me in just, I don't know, it hit my heart. So let me introduce Courtney to you all. Well, first of all, my name's Hollis. I forgot to introduce myself. And I am the host of this podcast that has yet to be named. I live in Cabo, Mexico, in Los Cabos, down in Baja, Mexico. And I am just reviving my coaching practice. I'm a healer, I'm a light worker, and I'm about to be releasing a membership community online that will be released once you're hearing this as viewers of this podcast. But I'm committed to this path of spiritual evolution, and I feel after 2020, there's just a huge soul mission of using my power of connecting people to their mentors and to their medicine. And that's what I am. I'm a super connector. So here I am with Courtney, connecting her with all of you. Courtney is an intuitive coach and healer who works with people that struggle with self-criticism. Familiar? Yes. Through coaching and channeled guided visualizations, which we're going to hear more about, her clients have been able to take giant leaps past long-standing blocks in their life and in their business. So, Courtney, where would you like to start? Why don't you start by telling us like a little bit more about the work that you do? We'll start with current stuff, and then we'll kind of get into how you got here, because that to me is the most exciting part. We just love stories, and we all have a story to tell. So let's start with current circumstances.
Yeah. So currently, this year in particular, I've done a lot of work around polarities. That's been kind of a theme for me personally. I'm kind of a natural mediator. I can see different sides of a lot of issues. And that has kind of always been, it's something that I know that is a gift for me, but it's something that I also have really shut down for a long time too. There's some big throat chakra stuff going on there, about just kind of advocating for those alternative viewpoints and what that has brought up for me in the past. Some conflict that has arisen in times when I have kind of shed light on that maybe there's another way to look at this. And yeah, that led me down some pretty guilt and shame-filled paths for a long time. So I just kind of chose to lock it down and be pretty neutral and be pretty like agreeable with people. And yeah, just in the last few years, I've really gotten comfortable with my own voice and my own sense of discernment, and owning that for myself instead of kind of giving it to other people. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's what I've been working on personally, and of course professionally, that seems to be the work that I attract also.
Yeah, well, I so see that in you, and I would love if you have an example or two to hear about like maybe one of those things you were a little bit hesitant to talk about one of those. But I know that this has been a more recent thing, like within the last 5-6 years, you stepping into your healing, your path as a healer. So what was that like inspired by? Like, how did that come on? What woke up inside of you? Like, when did you say like, I need to step into this, right?
Yeah, that was you were a huge key to that, actually. um you're you did a sugar detox program like 4 years ago that made me realize how much I kind of like checked out from my body and like put my body in a separate, like this, it was this like burden to have to deal with being in this human body. And like I would kind of ignore, I just was really stubborn about it. I was really stubborn about nutrition and exercise and all those kinds of things of just like, that's just not me. I don't want to do that. I don't want to mess with that. And so then doing that sugar detox program with you really helped me like look at what was really going on there in those resistance energies. Like what was, what's the purpose of going out of your body? You know, like why would we do that? And why does that happen for us? And yeah, so that kind of, and energetically that opened for me about 4 years ago. Consciously, not until the end of 2017 when you did a meditation challenge. So that was you again.
I did not tell Courtney. I did not pay Courtney to say this.
No, totally not. That was like, that's just how it happens. And yeah, so then I just like, that was the first time I had really tried meditation or considered it in any real way. I had, both my grandpas were pastors, so I come with a lot of prayer energy and practice.
Wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah. So, but the meditation part of it kind of linked those for me. It made it like, okay, so I've been praying my whole life. I've been talking to God since I was like a child, but I haven't been listening. So that's what meditation was for me. It's like, oh, like it was this realization that this is a two-way conversation. That was a new concept.
I love that. I so love that. I have like such a similar experience, and I don't even remember when I started meditating, but I always said like prayer, like for as long as I can remember, like prayer is when you talk and meditating is when you listen.
Yes.
Oh, it's so interesting that you, because I don't remember in that sugar detox, like I was afraid, however, let's just say 5 years ago or 4 years ago, whatever, to talk about spirituality out loud. I might have like hidden little things in that program, but I was so, that's all I did at home was like pray and meditate and do my work and like hang out with crystals and rocks and burn incense, but I like didn't even know how to tell other people what that meant to me. So I was just, it's so interesting that it like came through for both of us. I'm so glad that it opened something up in you, because it wasn't intentional on my part. And that's just the connection that you and I have.
Exactly. And you just said the word intention, which made me think of that. Actually, that is the first spiritual concept that you had in that. I actually was looking through my old emails, and the recordings are still active. Like, so I went to listen to one of them, and you were talking about intention setting, and that is the first time I had ever really done that. Like, setting goals is one thing, and a very like 3D thing that, we've all been taught to do, but like that always felt so heavy to me. And then being introduced to intention setting in that program, was like the first kind of spiritual concept that I really dug into. So yeah, it was huge.
I love that you brought such focused attention to the word intention because literally today was the first day I did it. My friend sent me this video from from Gaia TV. And he talked about this magic time, like it's at 4:20 in the morning. He said like at that time, that's when we can hear the most because the rest of the world is so silent. So I decided to do this as much as I can, as long as I get to bed on time, to set my alarm at 4:20 and like literally get up and set my intentions for the day. Just so I can kind of like visualize. That's my intention behind this practice, is to start visualizing my day so that I can actually accomplish the things that I have on my calendar, because so often I just come up against resistance and don't follow through. So I was like, when I heard that, that's what came through. I was like, I need to get up and set my intention at 4:20 in the morning to like have an awesome day.
Exactly. And guess what? Like, then you can go back to bed afterwards. Like, that's the part that for me that I would get hung up on, is like making things like overtake your whole everything, when it's really like, if you're up at that time and you do that, and like it may be daunting to you the night before to think about doing that, but like for me in the energy right now, it's like so supportive of just like doing the thing that you're called to do, and then doing what the next thing you're called to do, which could be go back to sleep, or it could be stay up and work on your business, or it could be, send an email to a friend. So that's what's so beautiful right now about, I feel like the energy of 2020 is like, it's just these invitations to be present and present again and present again and present again and again.
Yes. There is so much, and I'm not saying everyone needs to get up at 4:20, but there is so much information coming in right now that those of us on this path, which of course you are if you're listening to this interview, I mean, this would be something I would tell a client, is like absolutely get in tune with those ideal times to be able to fully take it in. It doesn't even mean silent meditation. I mean, my meditations are often just walking on the beach or even walking around the house, because sometimes I'm like a little agitated, or being in water. But really finding that time to listen is critical, because otherwise for those of us who are open to getting the signals, for me, if I'm not in a place to listen, like if I don't do it for a few days in a row, I just go into like glitch mode. That's what I call it. It just feels like there's so much going on upstairs that I do end up leaving my body, because I just can't handle it and I get overwhelmed. And then I go into freeze mode. So let's talk more about your we'll talk about I want to hear about your offerings, because I know there's this amazing thing that you do, these altar cloths, and I definitely want to hear about that. And then I also want to hear more on like your channeled guided visions, and like a little, if you can give us like a little insight into how that opened up into you and how you actually started to interpret and use this light language.
Yeah. So what has really what started with that is that's how I was originally able to really sink into meditation, is anything that had imagery that was really clear and had an intention behind it, or like an action that you were being guided to take. Those were always the most powerful ways for me to connect with my body. And that is where I would get in the deepest meditation, is just going to these places, traveling to these beautiful scenes that people would set up. So I knew from early on that was a way that I connected really quickly and easily and deep. And then over time, it kind of, I guess I work with a lot of crystals, and I have this like gorgeous samadhi quartz that's not with me right now, but I got that like 2 or 3 months ago, and I swear that thing just holds all of the doorways that I need to go anywhere that I want to go. I got that crystal and almost immediately kind of started having downloads of really effective meditations and visualizations to walk people through. And then I just started kind of asking some coaching friends that I had and some other people that I've been working with if they wanted to do this kind of custom guided journey and see what happened. And so we did, and some really powerful stuff came through. And what I like to do is kind of, when I'm working with people and doing custom visualizations with them, we're actually in session together, and we will have a coaching conversation ahead of time to kind of get familiar with what's going on in their life or business or whatever area they are wanting to focus on. And then it kind of naturally leads to a place where we get into the visualization mode, and something kind of just naturally comes through. And they have these really practical tools. I ask a lot of questions, and even people who have a really hard time with strong visuals and connecting with those kind of visuals have been able to bring tangible things with them forward, tangible images of, like, you know, a place that we go to that they can deposit any worries that they have, and like trust that they are being taken care of, and those kinds of things. So
I love that. I love it. How did you find your crystal, your magic crystal?
Oh my gosh, it is. So there's this woman named Karina Del Pezzo that runs a Facebook group and a website called Incantations, that she can intuitively select crystals for people, but this was just one that she had in a live sale, and it just, I mean, if you know crystals, you know, like they call you. So this one called me.
They absolutely do. They absolutely do. I love to hear how people come into contact with their divinatory things.
Totally. And that is another connection with you, is you were with me when I got my first crystal.
Necklace. In Washington, yes.
Yep, you took me on that little adventure, and like we had some beautiful synchronicities where like somebody like made an offer to buy all of the inventory from this business I was trying to like get rid of. Yeah. Okay, so I put the necklace on layaway, and I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna pay for this. We get like 15 minutes down the road and I get a message with an offer for like a full price offer for what I wanted for the inventory that was left over from this business. And we turned back around and got the necklace. So
I totally remember that. That was such a magical day. And it was special for so many reasons, because I think I was like in from Mexico for just a few days or something.
mm-hmm.
So that was a
Yep.
miracle that we got to see each other. And then we went and got those magic crystal necklaces. I still wear mine. You wear yours?
Oh, all the time. Yeah. Angel Aura and Iolite, and yeah, all the time.
Oh, I love it. We could
Yeah,
talk about all of our magical stories and it would take up 5 hours or more.
for sure.
So tell me about your altar cloths.
Yeah, so that is something that's just come through in the last couple of months, and it was a kind of a download that I got in a session with my coach, my business coach, and like it was very, very clearly channeled through both of us kind of interacting on this idea. And then I got out of the session and started to kind of take steps moving forward, and like just so much self-doubt came around those, and so much like second guessing what I was putting out there and if people would be interested in it. And I had this really a lot of worthiness stuff come up, and a lot of making choices for other people, which has kind of been a theme for me by default, by kind of not giving them the option to make the choice because I maybe fear rejection if they choose not to go along with me. So so with these altar cloths, that was where I was for about a month on them, is just stuck in this limbo of these want to come forward, and I don't believe that I'm necessarily ready to bring them forward, or worthy of bringing them forward, or that people aren't ready to receive them, is probably the biggest thing. And so just in the last week or so, actually, I have come to a place of healing and awareness around that, of allowing people to make their own choices and to follow your inner guidance when you're being led to something, especially so strongly, to really just go for that and let other people choose whether they resonate or not. That was something that I was really holding on to, is not even allowing that potential for rejection to come about. So so getting past that has been huge for me, and also the concept of, I am really excited about these altar cloths that I'm creating, that I'm going to be offering, and also there's a lot more around these altar cloths, and that's what I was waiting for. Is these altar cloths are also going to be I'm going to be teaching how to work with them in a way that's really different from what I've seen. So I'm really excited for that. I'm excited that I'm kind of doing them in a little bit different of a way. I'm mixing crystal powders with the paint that I'm using to create the cloths, and then I'm infusing them with energy healing as well. So
I am so excited to see what you are offering. And because I know it's going to be magical and it's going to change lives, and people who really appreciate our altars and our, our tools, which is like every light worker I know. They're like more important than children sometimes. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But kind of not. No. I'm sure that they're just going to be magical. And I'm curious to know what's your human design again?
I am a generator, sacral authority, 1-3 profile. So yeah, martyr investigator, which is kind of a difficult one to be because it's, well, I've clearly martyred myself plenty in my life, putting myself out there in ways that, you know, maybe I didn't need to necessarily. And then investigator is, I do a lot of trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
Which again, this kind of circles back to my altar cloths, is that is learning to trust that process of putting things out there and taking the feedback and choosing, you know, the next action based on the feedback that I get from myself and from other people. Yeah, that's part of my journey. So
Yeah, well, and I was pretty sure you were a generator because I know we talked about this a long time ago, but I forgot. But because it's that waiting to respond. And yes, we should all be more gentle on ourselves for the journey. But sometimes it is a matter of waiting, whether that's a month. I mean, sometimes it's like a day or a week, but I know my big ideas too have taken years to come into the full package, right? Like there's always been like this awesome idea about what I'm supposed to be doing, but then you know, it's just like and I remember years ago, like knowing this, like knowing it would take that long to come to fruition. So
and that brings us back then to self-doubt and self-criticism of like, if that's how you operate, like if everything is trial and error and things take years to manifest, like potentially, then yeah, that opens the door to a lot of self-criticism and self-doubt and wondering, am I really following my guidance here, or am I just following something that I'm seeing from somebody else? And yeah, that's just a huge part of my work and a huge part of the healing that I've done in the last few years, is that healing that self-critic and turning that self-critic into actually kind of like a trusted advisor and a cheerleader, even, of like, I can go to these places that I have had so much guilt and shame and pain around, and then actually see what the purpose behind it and what it brought through in me and what it actually showed me that I have inside of myself in a positive way.
mm-hmm.
And then being able to turn that mirror around for other people has been so much fun and so exciting to do too.
Yes, I hear that path of walking through the darkness, and it's such beautiful work that you're offering your experience and your story to help lead others through it. What do you have anything you'd like to share about that? I call it darkness, I call it shadow work. Recently I've been calling it the deep abyss of the ocean, because that for me is way more fun to sink into. but this is a common theme for a lot of people in 2020. I mean, if you haven't gone there, maybe you've just been drunk for a year. I don't know.
It's possible. A lot of people have been.
No judgments on that.
No.
Unfortunately, I've been breastfeeding, so I couldn't drink every day like I would love to some days. But let's talk about that. Let's talk about that that place of, because I know what that feels like, of being so self-critical. Like life just, I mean, this is going to sound really dramatic, but life just sometimes doesn't seem worth it when when I back myself into that corner, when I, have one day of like, oh my God, I see the vision, I see everything, everything's going great. And then the next day or a couple days later, I wake up and I've forgotten everything. And that's how my self-critic works, is it likes to delete, delete, delete.
Yeah.
So yeah, tell me, I mean, you can tell me experientially or work with your clients, but I'd love to hear your perspective on that and how you welcome those dark moments.
Yes, that has been the part of my process that's been actually really kind of like a little bit of quicksand for me, is I'll go into that dark place, and I'm a Scorpio. I like really love it there in that dark place. Like I love, hate it there. And so I can hook into that place and like really stay there and really stay in the darkness and stay in the seeing everything I could have done differently in any given situation, and really beating myself up about how I allowed a thing to happen in a certain way. And so for me, the last few years have been about realizing that I'm actually a lot better person than I thought I was. And like just this sense of freedom, like in the darkness, and the sense of going to those difficult places and then finding safety in them, like creating a safe place. And that's sort of what I do with the visualizations, is create a safe place to look at the darkness and to feel it, and to kind of put it in a perspective, in a context that is more palatable for our egos and our humans, because we are not used to having to do that. We're not really used to looking at the darkness the way that we've been living. We're used to escaping it by escaping our bodies, by justifying things, by projecting onto other people, and that has created a lot of the tension that we're experiencing, especially this year. And so to really be able to hold space for that darkness, and like when I start to go there with people and they start to pull back a little bit, I've learned to take their hand and keep pulling them forward, and standing there alongside them until they are at a place where they trust themselves to go there on their own.
Yeah, I so love that you are sharing this right now. Like I'm getting chills because I've talked to you so much through your process, and you're just like so doing the work, and it's showing. And I am so thrilled. 'Cause I work on this way too, is like, and I think most spiritual leaders, leaders in general, light workers, we share from our experiences. And when someone shares from their experience, and so a lot of people teach from other people's experiences, and they're just wise in that way. But I know that when I'm teaching someone from something I've walked through and either overcome or have learned a way to walk through it and with it, like this whole what we've been presented with in 2021. I mean, what more clear message can we get than to go inside? And when we go inside, that is the dark abyss of what we distract ourselves from with external things and circumstances. And it's just so beautiful to see you and your process, and your like blossoming and blooming, and how far you've come in that regards to now you're holding people's hand and walking them through it. I also loved what you said about about that safe container. And I really, really felt that when you said that's what you do with the visualizations. Like I felt held in my vision of where I go when I'm like really dealing with some hard emotions. That's where I go. I take myself to the bottom of the ocean. But then when you put that, like when you said that, I drew a little cave around me and I was like, that feels safer.
Right. And yeah, so okay, chills again here. That safety and that safe container, I kind of resisted the the need or idea for like protection, I guess, like spiritual protection for a little while of like, well, if like, what is there to protect myself from if I'm here to experience everything? And it's not about, what I've come to realize is it's for me not about protection from something that I'm afraid of outside of me. It's a sense of sovereignty and security that I am okay in me no matter what. And that is something that, yeah, it is inside of you. It's inside of your body. And because we're in human bodies right now, that's what we've got to work with. So when we can really go in there and remind ourselves that we are safe, then that's where the healing begins. That's when your ego stops trying to escape. And that's when you stop beating yourself up for every little choice that you make that you think isn't aligned with your highest path. Well, what if every choice that you make is aligned with your highest path and you trust yourself to really connect with that voice inside of you that's guiding you to that next step and that next step and that next step, whether that looks to other people and maybe even to your conditioned self like the step you should be taking or not.
I so love that. I so love that. I heard we need to, and it is, I had this experience myself. It was like, I only was able to touch on the forgiveness and I'm talking about forgiveness of myself and my actions from as far back as I can remember when my self-critic started running the show, was when I allowed myself to go into the just like literally surrendering to loving it all. Loving it all. Yeah. And for me, I thought, because I touched that place in a plant medicine ceremony recently. That's why I've been talking so much about the darkness and so much about surrender, was because it changed for me in an instant when I opened myself up to the forgiving and the accepting piece. And I actually went away from that ceremony feeling so like, I got it, that I thought I would not like make the same mistakes again, you know? And I immediately stepped back into the patterns. But it's been such a transformation on the way I can say I'm sorry now. And I can just, you know, sometimes I don't catch myself and sometimes I do. And then that's kind of like the 3D work is like the meditation is the spiritual work, and then actually changing the actions and catching the thoughts when they come up is like the practical stuff. So yeah.
Totally. And that stuff like kind of shut me down early on because it seemed like so much hard work to pay attention to everything I'm saying and doing. Like, well, actually it starts to just flow. Like once you can tap into that awareness and that compassionate awareness, the awareness of this is how it is and that's okay. And there's a reason that it was this way, or there's something I can gain from this, or there's something somebody else was able to gain from this happening in this particular way. That I feel like it allows for that critic to step out of the way and to just say, oh, okay, this is happening. And I don't have to defend myself about it. It just is. And that's when things start to move through. And that's when patterns start to lose their grip on us. And that's when we start to really notice those things and not have them trigger us, and not have them trigger the guilt and shame, and just trigger healing.
That's powerful, and that is how it works. And that's why your work is so important to so many of us, because I mean, I just got so much coaching value out of that. And just, even if it lasts me another day, hopefully it lasts me throughout the month and the year, because it's a constant reminder that everything is happening just the way it's meant to be. And if we make the same mistake 100 times, it's because we were supposed to make the mistake 100 times for us to learn the lesson. Now, that doesn't mean go out there and like your anger is justified or whatever. Like, but it is something. It takes what it takes, and Spirit is always leading and guiding us. And I just am so inspired by hearing you talk about all of this. It's like I'm just witnessing such deep transformation. And not just that, I mean, I'm witnessing you fully embodying Spirit. Like, I can say that knowing you from so many times when I've been disconnected, you've been disconnected, like things are just weird and we have no idea to get ourselves out of the mess we're in, like, and not saying that's not going to happen again, because it should, like we just said, it's part of the process. But I'm seeing you fully witnessing you fully embodying your spiritual leader path. And it's beautiful. And I've had goosebumps like 100 times in this conversation.
Oh. And, and it's so exciting for me to and liberating for me to finally step into this path. I mentioned before that both my grandpas were pastors, and that has been, from early on, I really felt called to something like that, some kind of spiritual leadership. And in my very conditioned mind, yes, exactly, from all over. And I have been really, I was really hesitant about that early on, because my conditioned Courtney went through life really in gender limited ways. And I really felt like my path to spiritual leadership was marrying a youth pastor and working with the kids in the youth group and that kind of thing. And so it actually took me much longer than I was envisioning and hoping as a child, in my young adulthood, to actually find somebody to settle down with and to have children with. And he is not somebody that I'm supporting in his spiritual career by any stretch of the imagination. And I absolutely attracted every bit of that for a reason. If I would have followed that path, I would have very, very much limited my impact that I could make in the world. And because I would have been putting my power in another person and expressing that power through another person. And so to recognize that all of those little things along my path that I thought were like taking me off course, or were delays, or were, like relationships that I was just wasting time in, and all of those kinds of things were really put there to support my full embodiment, to support exactly what I came here to be and do and have. And I'm so grateful for everybody along my path, especially you and our connection and our parallel journeys, for just bringing that, making that so undeniable.
Aw, thank you, Courtney. And I feel the same about you. And after the trials and tribulations and really the huge blessing that has been 2020, I'm just so excited to see what is going to happen on both of our journeys. I want to go through this little before we sign off, and I do want you to share after this little bonus round about how people can find you. But I do have a set of bonus questions that
Okay, let's
are
do
going
it.
to be rapid fire.
All right.
Okay, so ready?
I am.
What's your favorite crystal?
Okay, right now I'm going to say lapis.
Okay, and why?
Lapis lazuli. I've got this, like, this really gorgeous.
I
Oh! That's so cool.
Okay, so tell me why. I don't even know why I put this necklace on other than now I do, but I don't know much
Yeah.
about it. What's up with lapis lazuli?
So I'm really connected to some priestess past lives and Egypt connections and that kind of thing. So that's been in blue, it's a throat chakra stone, which has been a theme for me. So and just I feel really supported by it. I feel really grounded and empowered by this stone. I just feel like it talks about it. It feels like sovereignty, and it feels like expression, and it feels like abundance to me. And those are like my three main focuses.
I love it. That is so, I just love the synchronicities. Okay. Thank you for sharing about that.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your favorite plant ally? Psychedelic or non-psychedelic?
I'm gonna say it's gonna be hemp, because that has been a huge way for me to it's been a huge healing path for me, of just around judgment, actually. About judgment of other people, judgment of myself, judgment of in all kinds of different areas, coming to terms with that. And then just helping me to get out of my brain and into my heart and to feel. So those are the two biggest gifts that hemp has given me.
That is so beautiful. Well, Courtney and I are actually in a company together called Prime My Body. They are having awesome Black Friday sales right now. But that's just to put in a plug, because if you do want to purchase hemp, purchase it from one of us, because we actually have the best products that I've ever tried. But that's what hemp did for me too, was exactly how you mentioned, like brought me back into my body fully. And I see it doing that with a lot of other people. And I love the hemp plant. I never even used it, aside from every once in a while smoking cannabis with THC, but I never used like CBD and stuff until like it's been a year ago. On the 27th of November was the first day I started using hemp and CBD, and it completely changed my life. So, okay. Do you use psychedelics? And if so, what is your favorite medicine?
So I have, my most recent experience was a mushroom microdosing experience, where I did that for about 2 weeks, inspired again by you. I would say that is my deepest experience with psychedelics, is with mushrooms. Actually, my only experience with psychedelics has been mushrooms. Yeah.
Awesome. I love psilocybin, and I so see you if you go this way, because you mentioned it. So whatever path you take, but I so see you holding space for helping people use that medicine in a constructive and responsible way.
Absolutely. I definitely spent some time using it in a unconstructive and irresponsible way, but being on the other side of that and being able to respect it for what it is and honor myself for allowing myself those journeys early on in my life. Just another way of turning that self-critic into a support.
Oh, totally. It was all, I see so clearly now, how all of those experiences led me to where I am today too. And I used to just beat myself up like crazy about them. So good. We can just heal that right now. Push delete on that judgment story. Done. Okay. Let's see. Sun, moon, rising.
Scorpio sun, Aquarius moon, Cancer rising.
3 water? No, wait. Okay, no. Aquarius is
2 water and an air.
2 water and an air. Okay. I was like, oh my God. No, Pisces is the other. Okay, so I knew that Scorpio, but I didn't know Aquarius rising.
Aquarius moon.
Aquarius moon. Okay, and
yes.
then
which has been Cancer rising, which the Aquarius moon has been like, that's the one that's been hardest for me to connect to. And I know why now is because I was living so much in my head up in the air that like I wasn't pulling it down into my body at all. And so since I've started doing that, that whole Aquarian social progress, you know, support kind of thing is really coming out. So I get it now.
Wow, I see. Like, I just got this vision of you like supporting the masses because you are going to be like, we're stepping into the age of Aquarius. This is your moon sign. We're headed there towards. Wow. I just got this vision of you and like in front of the masses. So let's just see where that falls.
Oh yeah, big chills all the way. So
I just saw you like up there and a ton of people, wherever we were, you were talking to all of them.
I was probably in your community. So.
Let's call it our community.
Yes.
Okay, favorite 3 things on your altar.
Okay, my altar cloth. And my lapis pyramid and and this Andara.
Ooh.
I just got not too long ago that just, it's got like from Mount Shasta, which is highly connected to Lemuria and which we both resonate with very deeply. So this snaps me right into that space. And like, it's just this like healing, angelic kind of feeling.
And what's it called?
It's an Andara crystal.
Andara crystal. Ooh, I've never heard of that before. I'm going to put that in the show notes because that is so beautiful. And I'm sure a lot of other people listening we'll just have to have another conversation about just this. But Mount Shasta, I grew up to the north. Courtney grew up to the south. Both like about 2 hours away from Mount Shasta.
Yeah, a little more for me, but yeah, really close.
Yeah, super, super close. Mount Shasta, Starseeds. Courtney and I have definitely shared past lives in Lemuria, and we're just going to have an episode number 2 talking all about that.
For sure.
Andara, I love it. Okay, what is one non-negotiable self-care practice?
So that has just come through in the last few weeks of reconnecting to this. As soon as I wake up in the morning, I got back into checking my phone for a long time. And I just in the past week again have gotten to a place where I get out of bed in the morning, I go sit on the couch, I tune into my body, and I don't even meditate. Like I don't go anywhere. I don't do a visualization. I don't do anything. I just breathe. And I do that for about 5 to 10 minutes. And it ends up being kind of a meditation, but it's one that keeps me in my body and sets my tone for the day. And always a clear intention comes through by the end of that.
I love that. Starting off the day connected to yourself. Let's see. Yeah, those are all the questions. Okay, awesome.
Cool.
It wasn't as rapid fire, but I like
I know
into some of those things, so I'm just gonna like totally cut out the name of rapid fire. Okay, so because that was really fun. Okay, so Courtney, tell us where our listeners or viewers, if you're in the membership, because you can see this conversation in the video portion. Tell us where we can find you.
Yeah, so CourtneyHarper.com happened to be available earlier this year, so I claimed it. just another one of the synchronicities. And you can find me at Courtney Harper on my Facebook page, and Instagram is at Coach Courtney Harper.
Amazing. Well, I will put all of those in the show notes so that people can easily find and connect with you. And you do have a podcast. I want to remind the viewers of that, because I would highly suggest going there, just from the one episode that I listened to. I think you said you have a couple, right?
Yeah, I haven't posted the other ones yet, but yeah, I have the Lightworkers Toolkit is what I'm calling it for now. And it has about a visualization on there that's just under 12 minutes. It's episode 0, so it's the one that'll show up first. And yeah, it just kind of gives people a taste of what I do.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. It was so fun. It was a walk down memory lane, a walk also into the future, and just a highly charged conversation full of goosebumps and good energy with you. Thank you so much, Courtney. And I can't wait to have you back again on the podcast that has no name yet.
Yay, I'm so excited, and thank you so much for having me. I'm really, really excited to see what comes of all of this for both of us.
Okay, thanks, Courtney.